When did girly small businesses go off the rails? Before, people were packaging lip gloss and body scrub at home, and now we're outright advertising our DIY dentistry and passport forging businesses on Facebook in the style of other women-owned businesses? Hi, I'm Robert Tolpe, and let's talk about the inevitable conclusion of small business culture online. We love a small business, whether it's someone on TikTok packaging lip gloss, someone selling food on Facebook, or even selling homemade jewelry. It feels good to order from an independent seller. Granted, the lip gloss is packaged with no gloves, in questionable environments, the food may come with a side of botulism, and the jewelry is from AliExpress 9 times out of 10. But that's a risk we all knowingly take when we don't order from a large company. Besides, their small business branding is adorable, with alliterative names in cursive font featured prominently in their pastel Instagram posts promoting their work. It just puts you in a gatekeep, girl boss, gaslight mood. Sometimes the safety concerns do overshadow that warm, fuzzy feeling. Remember the pink sauce debacle? These businesses can shirk their responsibility to create safe products due to certain loopholes in the law, which allow some leniency for cottage industries. Overall, though, some funky colored sauce or some earrings with maybe 3 times the legal cadmium limits are not likely to cause serious harm. But do you know what could cause serious harm? Someone getting your home address, which can be done with a quick Google search. If you type your name into the search bar, your address is probably on the front page for anyone to see. For me, that's a serious liability, which is why I use Aura, the sponsor of this video, to keep my personal information safe. Our data is all over the internet, and data brokers sell that data about you to literally anyone, no matter their motives. Aura reveals which brokers have your data and sends opt-out requests automatically so that doesn't happen. This can reduce spam being sent to your email and makes it much harder for hackers to compromise your accounts. Not only does Aura help stop your data from being spread about above the table, but it also keeps track of your data sold on the dark web. In case you missed this story, AT&T recently faced a massive breach, which resulted in 73 million customer records being released on the dark web. They recommended those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. Aura does all that and more, which is important for everyone to do, not just affected customers of AT&T. Aura is great because all the security tools I need to stay safe are bundled together in one place at an affordable price, so I can save money by not paying for a bajillion different costly services. I value my privacy and I value yours as well, so use my link in the description below, aura.com/Robert Tolpe, to get a 2-week free trial of Aura and see just how much of your data is out in the open for anyone to see. Anyways, small businesses have branched out into more interesting industries. The old style small businesses still exist, of course, but their scandals pale in comparison to the shocking details of relatively new ventures by aspiring entrepreneurs. They may be different businesses, but they're in the same cursive font, advertising services that are illegal, dental services from unlicensed amateurs, and forging documents, including passports. It's wild. They've become front and center in the discourse surrounding small businesses for obvious reasons. I mean, how can pink sauce by Chef P stay relevant when passport printing by Priscilla or whatever is stealing all the headlines? I'm sure you've heard by now of a veneer tech. These are unlicensed, uncertified individuals who perform complicated dental procedures, often out of their home. Of course, there is no such thing as a veneer tech. These lay people are doing the work of prosthodontists, professionals specializing in veneers, but also crowns, implants, jaw disorders, and the like. All prosthodontists have some kind of doctoral degree in dentistry. They go through residency, they have to pass certification exams, and they are extremely specialized. It's impossible to do the work of a prosthodontist by taking a little course in veneers, but that's not what certain entrepreneurs would have you think. Veneer tech is a term manufactured by alleged scam artists who want to sell their training courses in this made-up profession. They're also often unlicensed with no doctoral degree. To use an old idiom, it's the blind leading the blind. Although I'm not a lawyer or prosecutor, if I were them, I'd keep this kind of training course under the table lest I be thrown in prison. But these coaches openly advertise their services on social media.
Look at this page, okay? Time to perfect your craft or start a new business venture, specifically in the dental cosmetic world. January 27th and 28th, VVS Smiles will be offering a class to help you start your veneer business. This 2-day class will not only offer a vendor's list, it will be catered. You will also learn some premium veneer techniques.
A 2-day course where you can learn some premium veneer techniques, not all of them, some of them. No matter how ridiculous it is, the advertising is polished. They put up a facade of legitness that leads people to believe their services are worth paying for. These course instructors fleece their customers, taking their money and smiling with their gleaming porcelain teeth that don't look like a home job. Their typical customer is likely in need of work and stuff to put on their resume, even if it's only a certificate designed in Canva and printed out on an HP DeskJet. And they prey upon that, and I'm not going to beat around the bush here, they target women and they target the Black community. And now's the time to remind you that I am white, I'm not afflicted with Dolezalian delusions, I'm just stating the obvious, and I do my best to articulate later on in the video some of my thoughts in relation to that aspect of the business. Anyways, after the bell rings for graduation on the second day of coursework, a new veneer tech gets their wing. What some of these techs don't know is that they're a victim, not a perfect victim, but I'm sure some may think that they're getting some kind of meaningful training and have actually become qualified to perform the services they offer. The courses appear authentic, and though I'm sure many of their students have doubts in the back of their minds about the nature of the course, the idea of taking on clients and making a good living overshadows those doubts. Though these people were scammed, in my opinion, they go out into the world and do serious harm. The before and afters of their work show that they are putting on shoddy veneers on top of decaying teeth, in mouths riddled with periodontal disease. A certified prosthodontist would address these serious problems before adding veneers, crowns, or implants. In covering up rotting teeth with a bright white smile, you're only hiding the problem. As one prosthodontist on TikTok colorfully illustrated, it's like suffering a bout of explosive diarrhea, then pulling up your pants to cover it up. You don't think about that when you see their before and after pictures on Instagram though. In fact, my first thought when seeing their amateur work is that it sometimes looks quite decent. If I had bad teeth and limited means, seeing one of those posts on Facebook or getting a recommendation from a friend after they had seemingly good results might make me strongly consider getting at least a consultation. That price is still expensive, but it's under $5,000 usually versus the tens of thousands of dollars a full mouth of professional crowns or veneers would cost. As good as they look, the clients of these veneer techs will experience tooth decay, especially around the imprecisely done work near the gum line. It's worth noting that none of this would happen if oral health was considered part of healthcare, and if healthcare was treated in the US as a human right as opposed to a commodity to be sold. It seems the government would rather invest money into the prison system to lock people up when amateurs inevitably stand in for professionals that few can afford to see. Businesses like Veneers by Vanessa and the like aren't the only ones that have legal troubles in their future. This cutesy branding has been co-opted by those in professions that are generally considered to be even more sketchy. Check out the services of Documents by Renee. At first glance, it's pretty tame. She can write you up a bank statement or a check stub for real cheap. In this economy, I stand by her totally allegedly illegal business. Because if you need proof of making 5 bajillion times the rent or whatever just to put a roof over your head, you gotta do what you gotta do. Scamming landlords is not only morally permissible, it's actually a moral obligation. While that can be a felony, I would speculate that you could maybe plead down to a misdemeanor charge in some cases. Do not quote me on that. I'm not a lawyer and I wouldn't mess around because you might actually find out what will happen. But even if the government came for Renee and she came out with only a misdemeanor charge for forgery on her more mundane work, she would be thrown in federal prison. They wouldn't even throw away the key, they'd melt it down because she offers fake passports for $200. That's punishable by up to a $250,000 fine and 10 years behind bars. Of course, the authenticity of this can be questioned. It was posted as a screenshot to Twitter by a random user with less than 1,000 followers, and Renee's profile cannot be found, nor can the original post. Despite having no evidence to prove this, I speculate that it's real. It was likely posted in a private local Facebook group, hence why you can't just search for the post. Renee's account could either be long banned for offering illegal services, or she took it down herself after the tweet went viral and she was flooded with unhinged DM requests and comments on her other posts. Vibe-wise, it rings true. The screenshot would have to be masterfully forged, with skills that surpass even the ability of Miss Renee. Not to mention, to produce satirical content of that caliber, you'd have to be an expert satirist. And the screenshots on this user's account do not indicate that they are, but rather a chronic Facebook user who tweets the highlights from their feed. Whether it's real or satire, it went viral because we are inundated by this specific kind of pretty pink women-owned business on our social media feeds every day. And it seems like these businesses get more and more ridiculous. Unfortunately, these women seem to be girl-bossing their way to prison. It's important to state that being a small business owner is usually part of a larger intersectional identity. In this case, not only are these businesses often women-owned, but before I get interesting comments about this, yes, the businesses that get the most attention are run predominantly by Black women. Is what's viral on Twitter and TikTok a representative sample of all Girlboss style small businesses that advertise online? No, but I know I'm going to get some interesting comments about that fact. If you're thinking that there's a causal rather than correlational relationship between Blackness and opening an at-home veneer business or a document forging business, there is no evidence to support that. An array of easily identifiable characteristics makes someone significantly more likely to open an illegal business. In fact, there are two huge ones that are so blatantly obvious to point out. One factor is being poor. If you can't pay your bills, there's a lot of money to be found running one of these schemes. Black people, on average, are less wealthy than white people, and not a tiny bit less wealthy, absurdly less wealthy. White households have 9 times more wealth than Black people do on average, and that's after some Black households got cut fat stimulus checks. In 2019, whites were 13.3 times more wealthy. The second factor is not having actual degrees or certifications. Think about why that veneer business may target Black women in Atlanta. 9.8% of Black women in Atlanta lack a high school diploma. It's nearly impossible to do anything without a high school diploma, so actually getting some kind of official looking piece of paper so you can run a potentially six-figure veneer business out of your home could be a very attractive idea to this population of Black women. Of course, I know some interesting comments will chalk all that up to commonly thrown around misleading and false talking points about Black people being less capable or less hardworking than other racial groups. I'm concerned how these commenters cannot see how blatant discrimination has resulted in both of these factors being the case. These factors result in many Black people being especially vulnerable to involving themselves in get-rich-quick scams to make ends meet, and scamming people is not associated with any specific marginalized group. Those with more political clout and social status just get away with it. Or not. Whether a small business is Jewels by Julia, Crowns by Catherine, or Forgery by Felicity, many women-owned businesses advertise their services in the same way. Unfortunately, the cute branding does little to fend off potential legal action that they may face if the government gets wind of their practices. Many of these aspiring entrepreneurs have fallen for scams that target women, especially Black women without many financial resources or credentials, or have co-opted Girlboss branding on their own to provide shadier services not commonly associated with pastel social media advertising. Whether you consider these individuals victims, perpetrators, or a little of both, it's clear to me that rampant prosecution is not the best way to save people from tooth decay or being prosecuted by a landlord for presenting a fake pay stub. The underlying socioeconomic causes of these practices need to be addressed. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you to Aura for sponsoring it. I'm Robert Tolpe, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.